Welcome to the T-Squared Dad's Brown Bag Podcast. Here's your hosts, Kyle Baker and Dieter Burrell. Hey guys, welcome to the T-Squared Dad's Brown Bag Podcast. It's Kyle and Dieter here. And I was thinking today, Dieter, I was wondering, how did you end up in Pensacola? Because of all the places that you could have been, I know you've been down to Miami, but I was wondering, how did you end up in Pensacola?
I met Kristin, believe it or not, online. We were playing a game, and this is while I was still doing my master's at UF.
Hey, Kristin's your wife?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
Anyways, I used to play games online all the time. I don't know if you guys remember, but Yahoo used to be very popular, and they used to have tons of online games. Anyways, this is kind of funny, but I met her online, and several weeks went by. I think actually probably 30 days went by, and she reached out to me. Of course, I was playing with a ton of people. She reached out to me. She goes, "Hey, you remember me?" And I said, "This was via chat." I said, "No, yes, I do remember you. Aren't you the girl from Sarasota?" And she kind of pauses for a minute, and she goes, "No, I'm the girl from Pensacola," which is kind of funny because both of them had long names. But I thought it's like, it's kind of odd. Anyways, we started chatting. We started playing games, and one thing led to another, and we started calling each other and talking to each other over the phone. I decided one day, I told her I'd come visit. I liked her personality, and we had long conversations on the phone. And I came to visit Pensacola back in, I could say, maybe 2000.
Was this before or after you went to school in Gainesville, though?
I was still doing my graduate studies.
Gotcha.
I hadn't finished. So we started dating, and I think maybe 7 months into us dating, I proposed.
Wow.
We got engaged, and I tried finishing all my stuff at school, and then I packed my bags, and I came to live here in Pensacola, and I've been here since. So since 2001, maybe I've been here, and we got married in 2003.
And when did you finish your master's in Gainesville?
Well, believe it or not, I thought I was done with all my credits, and perpetually kept asking for my diploma. And it took almost 4 years for them to let me know that I had credits missing.
That sounds like something that would happen.
So I went back to school, finished up the credits, and then they finally released my diploma back in 2007 or 8 or something like that.
So your official graduation was 2008?
Yep.
Hey, that was the same year I graduated high school.
Thank you, Kyle, for that. But yeah, tell me what you do. Why are you here in Pensacola, anyways?
Yeah, so I moved up here in Pensacola probably when I was about 3 years old, and I've lived in the area for basically ever since then until I decided I was going to go to UF in 2010 after I graduated from high school and got my AA. And so I went down there basically to be with my now wife and be with her, and ended up getting into architecture and finishing my master's in 2015. I think it was 2015. No, 2013. And so once I finished that, we were looking for the next steps and what we were going to do. And we were in Orlando at the time. And once I finished all of my graduate school in Orlando, I had a job down there. And basically we were starting our family, got married, and found out that we were pregnant about 3 or 4 months after we were married. And at that time, my parents live in Pensacola. Her parents live in Pensacola. There was nothing tying us to Orlando. So we picked everything up and moved back home. In that year, I think it was 2015, during that year, I finished my master's, got a new job in a new state, or in a new city, moved, bought a house, and had my first kid.
Wow.
It was a lot going on that year for sure.
Wow.
My first child was my daughter. She's now 4 years old, turning 5 this year.
Yeah.
So, but that's how I ended up back here in Pensacola. Was basically we found out that we were pregnant and we wanted to be around family, and that's how I got the job where I'm at now. It happened to be nearby, a small local firm. You know, I wanted to try to learn a lot about the business side of things, and you know, all of the experience and mentorship that sometimes you get in a bigger firm, but I wanted that kind of one-on-one connection with a lot of people that sometimes you can't get whenever you're just another number on a spreadsheet at a big firm.
Right.
So that's how I ended up here, basically, back in Pensacola.
So you came back to Pensacola because you wanted to be close to family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we came back so that, you know, we had family support. I knew that starting a career like this was going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort. And we were in a new marriage, not a new relationship. We'd been dating since 2007.
Wow.
So we dated for quite a while, but, you know, I kind of made a promise to myself and a promise to my parents that, you know, I wouldn't have a kid and I wouldn't get married until after I got done with school. And I was able to kind of land on my feet and have a job and be able to support them, which luckily I've been able to do so far. But, you know, I mean, it is a lot to juggle. And I remember that year being a very, very stressful but exciting time. And that's kind of how, you know, a lot of this journey has been. A lot of stress, a lot of fun. You know, sometimes you got to kind of have some people around you to pick you up, show you the way to go, and help you make some of those decisions that are really hard. And luckily where I'm at, I'm around a lot of family, have a lot of friends. So
now you are a Florida graduate, University of Florida.
Yeah, so I went to Pensacola Junior College at the time. Now it's Pensacola State College. Got my AA because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I had bright futures, so I was able to do that basically at no charge. And decided I was going to do architecture. Basically went to UF because I wanted to follow my girlfriend and be with her.
Yeah.
Went down there, got into architecture, finished my bachelor's of design in 3 years, and then went to Orlando and got my master's of architecture at the Orlando City Lab.
Oh.
And one of the pluses of being in Orlando was basically they guaranteed you a internship within the first year, as opposed to in Gainesville where there's only about 2 firms that are about 6 people apiece, and you know, internships are few and far between.
Here's an interesting story. I interviewed with Flatt and Associates out of Gainesville, Florida. And during my interview, I had left my phone ringer on, and the phone rang during my interview.
Yeah, I bet that didn't go well.
No, it didn't. For all you guys out there going to interview, do not leave your phone on.
Yeah, that would be a tip for sure. Don't leave your phone on in an interview. If anything, just don't even bring it into an interview.
Don't answer it like I did.
Definitely don't answer it, Dieter.
Did you have fun in Orlando while you were there?
Man, Orlando was a blast. You know, my wife loves Disney World, so that was nearby.
Awesome.
But we had probably 3 or 4 of our really good friends that we met while we were in college, and also some friends even from high school that ended up in Orlando right around the same time that we were there. So we were able to kind of already have a group of friends formed. We could go out. We didn't, at the time, have very many cares in the world. We had to be to work. I had to go to school. Most of them were already done with school. But, you know, we didn't have the obligations that we do now where, you know, we got mortgage due and got to take care of the kids and things like that. So it was a really fun time. We had a lot of fun down there.
Yeah. I know that Ybor City is skipping a hop away from Orlando, but we'll leave that for another day to talk about those stories, that if you had any. I had a lot of friends that went out there and they told some wild stories coming back, but I don't know if half of it was truth or lies, but you know how people can kind of, you know, expand or extend, I don't know what the right word is, embellish stories to the point where it's like, are you sure you remember it correctly? Because you talk to everybody else and everybody else tells you, that's not what happened.
Right, yeah. You always kind of make it a little bit more exciting than what it really was. What about you, Dieter? I mean, how did you like your time down in Gainesville versus being up here in Pensacola? And, were you down there the whole time?
Mine is a bit of a twisted story because I'm from Miami, and people that are from big cities, I think you guys can kind of relate. You go from a very extremely active city to rural America, I could say. Gainesville, even though it was a college town, it seemed completely out of pace.
Yeah, I mean, all that's really there is just the college.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I remember staying a few summers in Gainesville, and I thought it was we need to jump in a car and get the hell out of here, because this is like Death Valley. Nobody was there. But we had a blast when school was active. There were so many activities. We got to enjoy studio. I think everybody enjoyed being in the same misery. So we created great relationships with all the other students, and I still have some friends from undergraduate and graduate school that I stay in touch with. I got a great buddy of mine that lives up in Connecticut, that we stay in touch once in a while, and some of the guys from undergraduate. Got a buddy of mine that lived in Miami, and another one in Portland, Oregon. I think he's still there, and then some of the other guys that live in California. If you guys are out there, I'll give you guys a shout. And I got some folks that I think they went back to Puerto Rico. I think they were Puerto Ricans, and but we all had a blast. We all hung out. I love the Thanksgivings that we used to hang out with them. It was so much fun, but it was just we created a little family when we were in Gainesville. I think you can probably relate to that.
Absolutely.
A lot of the people kind of felt like they were displaced from their families, and they had to create a bond with other folks that share the same common goal. But yeah, Gainesville, I enjoyed my time in Gainesville. I think I hear some people say it's like, oh yeah, going to school, it's like, a big party session for everyone. But the fact is that you finish maturing as a young man, and you have professors, and they've become your mentors. I think that you have people that can help you, guide you along the way. I mean, there's some people that are super smart and they think they got it all figured out. I mean, I hear a lot of stories about what is it, Microsoft, Tesla, their leadership, how they dropped out of school. They're extremely successful, but that's like 0.00001% of someone achieving that success is rare. Obviously everybody idolizes that, but that's not the case for many of us. You can kind of see statistically. I think my professor said a graduate student, based on the populace, it's like less than 1%.
Wow.
There aren't that many people that can say I'm a university graduate. I hold a master's. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So I think everybody needs to feel some pride. It's an achievement. I don't care who says what. I mean, I hear people saying, you're not measured. Your smartness is not measured, or your intelligence is not measured by going to school. Yeah, I get it, because I've met a lot of people that aren't graduates, but they're really smart. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between having a degree that tells people that you're smart right away and being able to just prove that you are and you have the knowledge that you need. In a profession like ours, there's a lot of things that you can't necessarily learn by going to school. And I have a feeling that that's kind of the way it is in a lot of different fields, and that the only way you can pick it up is through experience. So I definitely think that that's something, that we should talk about for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just trying to manage the day-to-day life with work and finding that balance. That can be one of the most difficult things about being a professional. I mean, I know a lot of people out there that are single guys, and that's the only thing that they have going on, or single women, and that's the only thing that they have going on is they're just pushing their career and they're just putting off having their family until they're at the right place in their life. But like I was told many times, there's never a right time to have a kid. There's never a right time to take that next step and take that leap into being in a relationship and making your family. And for some people, maybe that's never going to happen. Maybe they don't want that. But I know that was something that I wanted really early. And, I'm paying the price for it in some ways, but, I wouldn't change it.
Right.
I mean, as you know, right now I'm trying to take my test to become licensed. I know you've already finished all of yours and you're licensed in a couple of different states, and trying to find time to study whenever you work 8, 9, 10-hour days, go home, take care of the kids, play with them. It's a lot. When I was studying for my first 3, I was hanging out with my wife after the kids went to bed until about 9 o'clock. Then she would go to bed, and I would stay up until about midnight and just study for 3 hours, 3-4 days a week. And it worked out pretty well, but I burned myself out pretty quick. And, I passed the first 3, and then my son he was actually born on the same birthday as I have. So I was trying as a goal to be done by then, but I failed one of the tests, and I think that was partially because of setting unrealistic goals. I was going to try to take 3 tests in 2 months or something like that, and there just wasn't enough time in the day to study without sacrificing either time with my daughter, time with my wife, or performance at my job, or sleep. I tried the no sleep thing, which back in school I was able to do that a little bit better, but there's no time to make it up whenever you have kids at the house. I used to go 2 or 3 days without sleeping because of studio, but then I could sleep for 24 hours if I wanted to. Whereas now, I stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and my daughter wakes me up at 4 o'clock. It doesn't matter. So, that's just one of those things. But, that's one of the things that we're going to do in this podcast is try to help people navigate through that. Try to give them some tips and possibly help them down that journey. I know that yours was a little bit different. I think you were telling me the other day that you were able to kind of sacrifice about an hour of time after work and go study.
Yeah. It wasn't a one-person decision. I sat down with my wife, and here's my situation, or my predicament, if you want to call it that. I think it was Preston was born in 2006, and I wasn't licensed yet, so I was working to get licensed. And which is kind of funny for some of you guys that know anything about the architectural examination test. There was a version 3.1 and then 4, and now it's 5, and I'm sure eventually it's going to be a 6, 7, and 8. But I had to. Me and the wife had to sit down and say, hey, there's no way I can study because after 9 o'clock, because that's usually where we put the kids to sleep. So we need to I kind of need to do something like leave work, sit down somewhere for about an hour before going home, and I did that for almost 2 years to try to finish all my tests, because I later found out, and this is an interesting fact for all you guys that are having issues focusing. I went and got a sleep study, and I found out that I had sleep apnea. And I always like sharing this with everybody, because a lot of people say, well, let me run and get some focus medicine.
Yeah, didn't you think you had like ADHD or something?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it was a negotiated contract with the wife that, if we wanted all of us to be successful, including the family, that I needed to do this, and she agreed, and she was supported. She supported me, and we got through it. And I think after I got licensed, she had more freedom to do more activities, and now she does all these other activities after work, and we try to always balance it out.
So you were able to kind of find that balance even at the very beginning of, we're just kind of in an agreement that I'm going to do this thing now to hopefully make things better in the future.
Right.
So you're going to sacrifice a little time with me now, take on a little more responsibility with the kids, with me being gone for a little while. And in turn, once I'm done, you're going to be able to do these things. We're going to be able to do more things together. So you guys were thinking long game.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the opposite situation. Our life is full every day. You know, if there's not something going on, we're going to find something going on. So whenever I was trying to study, I talked to the wife, and you know, and she was understanding. She wants the best for me. It's nothing like that where she doesn't want me to do it, but it was very difficult even for me to make the decision, hey, I'm not going to go have dinner with my parents tonight because I've decided that tonight was the night I was going to study, and I would find any excuse not to. Whereas like when I was in school, all of my friends were doing it. We were all studying together and things like that. So that's where something like a study group. I know here in Pensacola, we have a great AIA study group. You know, I'm a part of it. Several people in our office are a part of it. You know, but finding those people around you that you can find as your peers, your friends, and have them hold you accountable. You know, my wife wanted to go to dinner with my parents or her parents, so she wasn't going to be like, no, we can't go because you need to study. So that accountability wasn't necessarily there. So sometimes if you're not, you know, able to hold yourself accountable, it's great to find a group of people that 2 days after you were supposed to meet, they're going to call you on the phone and go, hey, by the way, where were you at that last meeting? You know, and then the next time the meeting comes around and you try to find something else better to do, you're going to go, man, you know, John's going to call me and he's going to be wondering where I was, and I'm going to have to make up some excuse for why I wasn't there. And, you know, so it's just like anything else. If you have somebody that's going to hold you accountable, it's more than likely going to have a lot better chance of success. So that would definitely be something I would tell anybody out there that is taking their test for architecture or trying to, you know, read books or anything like that. That's like you and me. We read books together, right? So, you know, I come in on Monday morning. I'm like, hey, did you read chapters 2 and 3? Oh, I didn't read chapters 2 and 3 because, you know, I had X, Y, and Z going on. Well, it only takes a couple of times of that happening, and you read chapters 2 and 3, you know? So, you know, now that we've kind of found that way of holding each other accountable, you know, we can work through those things. And, you know, on Saturday afternoon when I'm sitting there going, I don't really have anything to do, maybe I'll just watch a TV show. I'm like, oh, but Dieter really wants me to read that book so we can talk about it on Monday. So to anybody out there listening, find somebody that can help you, mentor you, be your accountability person. It doesn't even have to be somebody in the same field.
That's right.
So
that's right.
All right, guys. So that's about all the time we have today. So big takeaway today. Find a buddy, find an accountability partner. You know, that was a little story into how we got to where we are, how we developed our families with this profession that we have. You know, I have a son and a daughter. Dieter has a son and a daughter. He's licensed. We work every day. It is possible, but definitely go out there and find someone that can help you. You know, and we want to help you do that as well. We want to be those people for you. So, you know, we are officially on Spotify now. We are working our way for Apple and iHeartRadio and all of those things, but you can definitely find us on Spotify. So go and subscribe, and we will see you next week. And before we go, as always in our podcast, I'm going to have a great joke for you. So the joke of the day, why can't a nose be 12 inches long? Because then it would be a foot. Thanks for listening to the T-Squared Dad's Brown Bag Podcast. Please subscribe on your favorite platform, and we will talk to you next time.